Welcome to Mr. Magazine, where the limelight reveals what the headlines often hide. If you love the pulse beneath celebrity lives, subscribe now, smash that like button, and consider hitting the join button to support our investigative storytelling. Your engagement keeps these human stories alive. Now, sink into the evening. We will revisit the broadcast that transformed a routine show into an emotional collision between past and present. What was meant to be a polished segment of television theatre, an elegantly staged exchange between hosts and guests, turned into a private confession aired live, fracturing the calm and leaving millions watching with chests tight and breaths held. On one side of the studio sat Yaman, whose public life has lately been marked by a fresh romance. Beside him, Sara Bluma presented a poised front, an image of modern companionship, attentive and composed. Across from them, the evening's rhythm beat like a metronome until a seemingly casual question became the match that set long-buried embers aflame. The presenter, with the practiced ease of someone who knows how to steer conversation into headlines, leaned forward and asked, "Mr. Can, tell us, when did love for Demet truly begin?" The words hung in the air like a chord struck in a cathedral, resonant, impossible to ignore. For a fraction of a second, the studio's surface tension shattered. Lights seemed to dim. The applause that had been ticking toward the segment died mid-breath. Can's expression shifted, the comfortable veneer of celebrity-polished charm gave way to a man reached by memory. He didn't deliver an anecdote rehearsed for ratings. Instead, with a voice that tremored but remained measured, he described a quiet night on set, a hush among the crew, scattered pages of a script, Demet tucked into a corner devoid of artifice, hair undone, skin bare of cosmetics, absorbed in the words before her. He said, simply and devastatingly, that in that unscripted silence he realized something irrevocable: his heart, unannounced, had surrendered. The studio's reaction was immediate and private in equal measure. Cameras tightened on faces, the audience inhaled, Sara's composure, which had until then been an article of performance, frayed. Behind the bright facade of broadcast steel, a very human storm broke loose. Sources present behind the scenes recount that Sara's calm dissolved into visible hurt. Unable to remain in the controlled environment, she left the set within moments, retreating from cameras and lights alike. At an almost cinematic moment, the broadcast team announced that Demet Özdemir would join the program live. Her voice arrived through the feed, steady, quiet, and unexpectedly candid. She offered a line that was equal parts confession and closure. She could not recall the exact instant that love had begun but remembered vividly the day she knew it would endure. The studio, already on edge, found itself dissolved in applause and tears. Can's eyes filled, his words broke beneath the weight of what had been resurrected. This is the paradox that riveted viewers: a truth that had once been private was now communal, and the exposure hurt as much as it healed. Fans split across social platforms and comment threads. Some hailed the exchange as proof of an undying bond, others labeled it nostalgic vanity. Yet beneath the sound bites, something subtler was revealed, a human pattern wherein silence can carry declarations louder than the most ornate speeches. The immediate fallout was swift and performative. Sara Bluma, whose recent public appearances had positioned her as the present in Can's narrative, posted a brief social message that read like a punctuation mark rather than a paragraph: "Some hearts still live in the past. And I am not there." Within hours, her account was deactivated, a digital withdrawal that many interpreted as an emotional exit. Observers asked whether her gesture signaled the end of the relationship or simply a wounded reaction to being reminded, publicly, of a former flame. Can, for his part, followed the broadcast with a cryptic social media remark the next morning: "Some feelings do not die, they only go quiet. When they speak at the wrong time, they wound." That line was dissected relentlessly by pundits and fans alike. Was it a lament aimed at the present companion, a plea to the past, or an observation about the cruelty of timing? The ambiguity multiplied the story's momentum, every speculation fueling yet another conversation. Tabloids then reported something that confirmed the story's cinematic turn, an alleged rendezvous in Rome. Journalists on the ground claimed to have witnessed the two meeting at a secluded cafe late one night, embraced briefly, and then disappearing together through a narrow street. Those close to them offered an enigmatic line: sometimes two hearts, shaped by the same rhythm, find each other even after years. Whether this encounter was a rekindling, a closure, or merely two people seeking clarity away from public eyes remains contested, but the image of that meeting, whispered about on both sides of the internet, embedded itself into the narrative. This episode posed the larger question the public rarely airs aloud: how should lovers behave when their histories are public property? The studio moment was not merely entertainment, it was an anatomy of longing, an instance where fame collided with intimacy and both were irrevocably altered. Viewers watched not for gossip alone but for a reflection of what it means to carry affection across the years, and how that affection insists on being acknowledged, even at the cost of present peace. At Mr. Magazine, we are compelled to ask you directly: do you think true love is a flame that can be paused but never extinguished, or is it a chapter that must be closed to build something new? Share your verdict in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the join button to support more long-form recaps where we dissect the human truths behind celebrity moments. Your participation matters, your comments shape the conversation. Beyond social media skirmishes and tabloid sleuthing, there are human reverberations, friends who counsel caution, PR teams recalculating narratives, and two people whose private choices will now be judged on a public stage. If Can's confession was an attempt at reconciliation with an honest part of himself, it also exposed all parties to the precarious calculus of love under public scrutiny. If this story moved you, tap like, subscribe to Mr. Magazine, and click join to help us sustain fair, deep storytelling about people whose lives are often reduced to headlines. Tell us below, would you step back into the arms of a past love if given the chance, knowing the cost it might bring to others? As the saga continues to unfold in comment threads and magazine pages, one truth remains intangible yet persistent: love does not adhere to tidy timelines. It returns, sometimes as a whisper, sometimes as a storm. Whether this Portuguese side street in Rome became a threshold toward renewal or a private crossroads for two weary souls is a story only they can author. The public will, inevitably, narrate its own version. For now, the studio lights have dimmed, the social accounts have shifted between silence and signal, and two people who once shared peace in silence have been thrust into a noisy aftermath. Love, in its ungovernable way, has once again reminded us that the neat arcs we crave rarely reflect the ragged, beautiful truth of human feeling. Thank you for reading this exclusive retelling. If this account resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe, and consider pressing join to support Mr. Magazine and gain early access to the stories behind the headlines. Tell us, do you believe Can and Demet will find a future together, or was this an unforgettable chapter meant to remain just that, unforgettable? We read every comment, and your voice keeps this community alive. Until our next deep reveal, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, beneath every public image beats a private heart.